guys, welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm Kelly Pally, and today we're counting down the top 10 Harry Potter villains. While there's clearly an obvious winner as to who makes our number 1 spot, we're going to go through this list and talk about all the things that precisely make these characters villains. Also, FYI, Snape's not a villain, you guys, he's a tragic hero. Enough said, leaving it at that. Also, heads up, there's a few spoilers for the Cursed Child in this video, so be wary. And also for the series. Like, a lot for the series. So if you haven't read it or seen the movies, you may want to hop over to another nerdy list if you're unfamiliar. Or just watch it, it's up to you guys. So in at number 10 we've got Draco Malfoy. So we can all safely admit that Draco was a little bit of an asshole growing up. A lot of it was because of his crappy father, yeah, but it did get to the point where he actually became a Death Eater during Voldemort's return. He was burdened with the task of killing Dumbledore, one that Snape ended up fulfilling for him. So he's not actually that capable of a villain if you really look at it. But hey, that's a good thing. I really wanted Draco to have a heart. Yeah, he's slimy, but not all hope is lost for him. Also, in The Cursed Child, Draco tries so hard, you guys. And while I might get a little bit of heat for saying that, I also feel like he's probably the most believably written character that appears in the entire play from the original series. Minus the ponytail, just lose the ponytail Draco, please. And at number 9 is Quirrell. Quirrell is the first defense against the dark arts teacher that Harry and his year encounter at Hogwarts, and he's a bit of an oddball, which I suppose is why he was the perfect fit to do Voldemort's bidding. So why does he deserve a spot on this list as opposed to some of the other Death Eaters who have probably committed more crimes than he has? Well, he literally kills unicorns, drinks their blood, tries to steal the Philosopher's Stone multiple times. Oh, and he's got Voldemort living on the back of his head. Plus he's the first person to really outright try to kill Harry under Voldemort's influence, of course, but still, that's kind of a big deal. But don't feel bad for him, it is technically his fault. He took a sabbatical the year before Harry arrived at Hogwarts in hopes to hunt down Voldemort. He wanted to learn a few tricks from him to help prevent other wizards from making fun of him. Yeah. Pretty sad. At number 8 we've got Wormtail. Oh, Peter Pettigrew. Could have been a pretty decent guy had you not gotten entangled with all the evil. One of the 4 Marauders, Peter Pettigrew was actually friends with Harry's dad James Potter, and Remus Lupin, and my personal all-time favorite, Sirius Black. Peter was also a member of the Order of the Phoenix during the First Wizarding War, but he was also a spy for Voldemort, and the Potter's secret keeper after they went into hiding, a fact that only Sirius knew, which is why he makes number 8 on this list. He betrayed James in the Order. And then he faked his own death, framed Sirius, and murdered 12 Muggles in the process. And of course, there's all the terrible things that he did in the Second War, but I think that's enough on Wormtail for now. At number 7 we've got Nagini. So here we have Voldemort's pet snake, and she's a nasty one too. Not just because she's guilty of some pretty sinister things, like murdering a bunch of people and almost killing Arthur Weasley, but also because she's a Horcrux. I mean, you gotta give it to Voldemort. Good selection there. She was also useful for his rebirth, as her venom helped him regain his strength. Dumbledore actually suspected her to be a Horcrux because she was with Voldemort almost all the time. Neville eventually kills her with Godric Gryffindor's sword during the Battle of Hogwarts. Now up next, we've got a number that is a total spoiler if you haven't read or seen The Cursed Child. So kindly skip ahead to number 5 if you don't want a major plot point ruined for you. In at our number 6 spot is Delphine Diggory, or rather, Delphine Riddle. So throughout The Cursed Child, there's talk of a rumor that Draco Malfoy's son, Scorpius, is actually Voldemort's secret child. A rumor that really hurt their family. And while Scorpius isn't his son, Riddle did have another child in the mid to late 1990s, mothered by Bellatrix Lestrange. As you know, both Voldemort and Bellatrix were killed in the Battle of Hogwarts. So flash forward to 2020, where Delphi has put Amos Diggory under a Confundus charm. When Amos tries to get Harry Potter to use a time turner to go back in time to prevent his son Cedric from dying, Potter refuses, but it plants a seed in his son Albus's head, and Delphi takes advantage of this in an attempt to resurrect her father and change the timeline. Up next at number 5 is Fenrir Grayback. And don't worry, because I never say his first name again. Getting back into Death Eater territory here, we have the scariest werewolf around. Grayback is a huge Why? Well, he's responsible for a bunch of horrible things, including infecting Remus Lupin after Remus's father insulted werewolves. He also messed up Bill Weasley real bad. He has a habit of attacking children, well, a preference actually, and during the Battle of the Astronomy Tower at Hogwarts, he made it quite clear that he really wanted to bite some students. I mean, that kind of screams psychological issues, does it not? He's tried to raise an army of werewolves in an attempt to take over the wizard community too. In 1964, he was suspected of murdering 2 Muggle children prior to the Ministry knowing that he was actually a werewolf. So he pretended to be a Muggle before fleeing the Ministry with other werewolves, vowing to take them down. Voldemort would also use him as a threat during the Second Wizarding War, intimidating wizards and witches with him, sometimes threatening that Grayback would attack their children. So, once again, asshole. And at 4, we've got Dolores Umbridge. Do I really need to go through all the reasons why this character is positively evil? While she was a supporter of Voldemort during his return, it turns out that she was actually the daughter of a muggle, which J.K. Rowling has stated is something that Umbridge has tried to hide her entire life. So aside from pulling some really messed up during her detentions,
you deserve to be punished.
what else has Umbridge done? You know, beyond making us despise her, with her demeanor and her weird obsession with kittens. So she's actually more of a political kind of evil. She drafted an anti-werewolf legislation, she was responsible for many of the prejudiced educational degrees during her time as High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, she tried to discredit Dumbledore, let her inquisitorial squad violently assault students at their will, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So basically Umbridge is kind of like the Steve Bannon of the wizarding world. Even Stephen King thought she made a fantastic villain, calling her the greatest make-believe villain since Hannibal Lecter. And fun fact, J.K. Rowling has actually stated that Umbridge is based off of a real person. Of course she didn't name who that person was, only that this person is someone, and I quote, whom I disliked intensely on sight. And she's also stated that she has the purest dislike for the character. Bonus points for being the author's most disliked character. That says something. Up next at number 3, we've got Bellatrix Lestrange. Aside from being batshit crazy, Bellatrix is one of the crueler Death Eaters. She has no remorse for her actions. She's very on board with every aspect of Voldemort's ideology. She has killed some fan-favorite characters including Tonks, Dobby, and Sirius. And plus, well, this isn't nearly as bad, she murders a fox for no reason at the start of the 6th book, just for being alive. It kinda spooks her a little bit and makes her jump, so she kills it. It was a fox. Guys, come on. She's also tortured a bunch of people including Neville's parents and Hermione via the Cruciatus Curse. And she had a whole lot of time to steep all that crazy devotion to Voldemort while she was locked away in Azkaban. Thank God for Molly Weasley. At number 2, we've got Grindelwald. Grindelwald was the OG Dark Wizard before our number 1 spot came along, and he had a nose. Grindelwald didn't like muggles. He didn't understand why wizards didn't rule the world, and if it wasn't for Albus Dumbledore defeating him, the wizarding world could have been a much different place. But they weren't always foes, as you all know. Grindelwald and Dumbledore had plans to find the Deathly Hallows together, and end the International Statute of Secrecy. But after a duel that resulted in ending Ariana Dumbledore's life, Dumbledore's sister, they parted ways and Grindelwald prepared for the revolution to still take place. He and his followers were guilty of quite a few crimes, including murder, but before things could get worse, Dumbledore confronted him and the two had a legendary duel in which he was defeated. Because of this duel, he lost possession of the Elder Wand, a fact that Voldemort discovered before murdering him in 1998 in the 7th book. Personally, I'm really excited to learn more about Grindelwald and what will inevitably become a crucial plot point in the Fantastic Beasts films. I mean, there's no way that they've cast Johnny Depp as Grindelwald just for a one-off in the first film. Plus, Jude Law has been cast as a young Albus Dumbledore, so hopefully we'll get a whole lot more on that backstory, and maybe that romance. And finally, at number 1, we have Voldemort. So this is completely self-explanatory. But let's do a roll call for all of Voldy's crimes here. Starting off with a young Tom Riddle. He tormented and stole from other children in the orphanage that he grew up in. He secretly studied the dark arts after learning about the chamber's secrets and then pretended to be a model student. He then opened the chamber in 1943 and released the basilisk, which then kills Myrtle of moaning fame, and then frames Hagrid and Aragog for it. He murdered his grandparents and his father the summer before his last year at Hogwarts. Good way to end a vacation. Disappears from 1945 to 1970 and then returns to the wizarding world calling himself Voldemort. He gets followers, calls them Death Eaters, uses unforgivable curses, and then gets really into purebloods are the only wizarding people that matter idea, and then starts the first wizarding war. Then he kills Harry's parents. And there's a bunch of other stuff I'm not even touching on that happens all before the series even begins. You guys know the rest. So that's it for now. I know I didn't include a few pretty important villains on this list, looking at you, Lucius Malfoy, so let me know if you guys have any different top picks for the most evil and despicable Harry Potter characters. For now, I've been Kelly Pally with Top 10 Nerd, and I will catch you guys in the next one.